Well, for more on today's ruling and the community's reaction, we are joined by Saboor Khan. He is a former chapter head at the Muslim Association of Canada and a close friend of the Azfaal family. He joins us tonight from London, Ontario. So I just want to get your sense of what went through your mind when the judge ruled that the family's murder amounted to terrorism.
Well, it was many different emotions. A lot of people had tears in their eyes, and certainly for me, it was a very emotional time as well, because of all the pain and that loss that we had suffered, not just as people who knew them very personally, but what this meant for our whole community. And for Justice Pomerantz to so eloquently, explain that impact that this act of terror had, and she spoke extensively about the harm that this action has, and these actions can lead to, and why they must be called out for the importance of calling them out, basically.
You know, this does mark the first time a case involving white nationalism has met the threshold for terrorism. As a lawyer yourself, how significant is that?
I think this is very important for our community because in the past, maybe certain communities felt targeted by terrorism laws. And now I think the justice made it clear when she was explaining that our definition of terrorism in our criminal code is based on a certain formula. And it is not tied to any specific community. It is not meant to target any community. It is meant to target the act, which is ideological hate in this case here. So that was very welcoming to hear that, especially a minority segment of the population, this is meant to protect all segments of the population, and also bring to justice all segments of the population. So that was very, very welcoming to hear.
As you said, you know, your family has known the Azfaal family for a very long time. Do you think that today's ruling will help the entire community in the healing process?
I certainly believe so, in the sense that it raises people's sense of confidence that we belong here. We're not alone in having to fight for ourselves, and the fact that we belong here. No, this is our collective understanding. This is a systematic understanding that we all belong here. This land, Canada, doesn't belong to only a certain segment of people. It belongs to everyone. And we will work together in upholding those values. And any ways that those values are threatened, our Canadian values, then we will collectively stand together and work to prevent such harm.
Well, what are you hearing from the wider community and other relatives of the Azfaal family?
I think certainly two parts. One is that, yes, that pain is still there, that June 6th memory is still being lived. I live close to the site of the acts of terror, and every time I'm going by in the car, everybody talks about, says a prayer and has this sort of sad feeling about what had happened, obviously, and the sense of loss. But at the same time, everybody's looking at this idea that, look at how much we have raised the profile against Islamophobia, how much work has been done, how many people have rallied together, all these young folks that have come together to proudly stand up and pronounce their faith openly, rather than having to shut behind some doors, which initially they felt that that's something that they may have to do because they're not welcome. But no, they have persevered. People have come together, and that is something that Justice Pomerantz really raised as well. That hope side of it, that positive side of it, and that is definitely being seen as well.
Just finally, to end off here, what do you think more needs to be done to stop further tragedies like this from happening?
I think, we see right now what's happening in the Middle East, and um, Islamophobia is starting to peak, anti Semitism is starting to come back and peak further. Um, we need to understand that we need to have important conversations, but we have better ways of doing this. We don't need to target or spread hate. There needs to be better education through our education system, where instead of uh, closing completely room for conversations about important topics, meaningful topics that need to be had to protect our society, and live in a compromising way, and at the same time preventing violence and preventing hate, and making people feel othered and basically disenfranchised and lowered in society. So those conversations need to be taken place, and at the same time we need to do a better job at what's happening on the internet. Our youth, our younger folks, they're all spending so much time on their virtual worlds, that needs to have much greater attention, and people who utilize those tools for spreading hate, they need to have consequences. It was nice that the justice system has taken a stance here today in calling out what is terrorism, but we need to have better measures and a system for calling out the harm that is done on internet against our younger folks.
Mr. Khan, appreciate the time tonight. That is Saboor Khan. He is a former chapter head at the Muslim Association of Canada and a close friend of the Azfaal family.